And we are back, live from the heartland. It is still sunny in Chicago. Headlines, sunshine, sunshine. Go out and get yourself some. It is Halloween. Yeah, what a wicked, crazy holiday we've got. And today, Halloween in Rogers Park is happening on Jarvis Avenue. There's such good fun happening with the Rogers Park Parents Group, Business Alliance, and Transition Rogers Park. They're all come together to put on a bunch of events from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Jarvis and Greenview, also known as Jarvis Square. Bring your kids, dress them up, go out and have a great old time. There will be traditional trick-or-treating on Jarvis, as well as all kind of games and story time and pumpkin decorating, all that sort of thing. So anybody hearing me who was sort of wondering what you're going to do with your kids, this is a 4-hour event that will just tire them out completely. After 8 o'clock, you could go home, wipe off the paint, put them to bed, and just, settle in. Okay, you are listening to Live from the Heartland. My name's Katie Hogan. We just heard from Tracy Siska of the Chicago Justice Project, and I am so pleased to welcome Danielle Brothers. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Danielle, I had the great pleasure of witnessing your art last night. Surprisingly, Danielle plays Don Quixote de la Mancha.
Mm-hmm, that's right. That's
and
right.
You are fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I mean, I have so enjoyed theater. I mean, Theo Ubique's productions because of the music, because of the way you use the space, because of the stage setting that you. The way that you set a stage.
The space is so unique and just absolutely a wonderful experience to work in there.
Yeah, it invites a tremendous amount of creativity. I mean, with Taming of the Shrew, there was the running around outside. Yeah. I must say, I'm not. Well, I won't go into the use of the kitchen in this one, but anyway, I know that my partner, Michael James, whose father first mounted and produced Man of La Mancha in New York, which is an extremely wonderful thing to have to his credit. He won Tony Award for the music, etc., which is another piece of Theo Ubique's tremendous musical production.
There's so much talent. He has such a great group of voices. Fred has a great ear for hearing the voices and how they go together, and everything about it, musical direction.
Yes, who is the musical director?
Ethan Deppie is our musical director.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, absolutely remarkable. He's a composer as well as a musician. But
and the Fred you mentioned is Fred Anzavino, who is familiar to our regular audience as the director of Theo Ubique.
Yes, he's artistic director.
But you also this production was directed by David Hyman, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Who is an old family friend and church-going guy with my sister and her nephew, and they were at the show the other night actually. You make one heck of a great Don Quixote.
Thank you.
I'm a long time. I was the idealistic teenager when Man of La Mancha came out. I knew every word to every song.
Yeah.
And to dream the impossible dream was like a life. Send to me.
Yes. A mission, and it's nice to. I think at that time of the that it came out, there were a lot of people looking for what could be instead of what was, because there were so many things that were wrong that were happening, and I think a lot of people wanted to find the thing that was the dream. Even though it was impossible, they could still believe that it could happen, and that's the message that I think Don Quixote puts out, is that believe in what you can be, not just what you are, but believe what you're going to become, because that's the thing that should be. That's the thing that is.
And it's the contest between reality and the dream that runs throughout the entire story and the production that you guys put on, which is placed in mental hospital, right?
Yes. A rundown, decrepit, rather mental hospital that. We have all discussed our motivations, transposing the story to this locale, about how the funding of the hospital. You know how so many hospitals here don't have funding and have funding cut suddenly. That in a way we're on the edge. We're a mental facility on the edge, looking for a way to get the people involved in life again, so we can start to try to get them out into the community. Hopefully, you know, there is a ray of hope at the end. Maybe not for every character in the show, but
yes, there is a ray of hope at the end, and of course the music. The music makes that happen as much as anything. But
it's such a classic production, and when we read the script and looked at the music, sang through the music, there's a reason why it's run for 50,000 performances and 60, you know,
it's true,
thousands, and it's such a solid, beautiful show with such a very, very nice message.
And it speaks to people's dearest hopes. That they
can do it in that tiny, intimate space where you're just inches away and participating really in the whole production, breathing the same air, and just it's marvelous.
Audiences at the No Exit have to really wanna.
They
gotta wanna.
They do. They gotta be brave.
Because the actors and actresses, the actors all surround you, run through you. Scream over your head.
Serve you dinner.
Serve you dinner is right. That's the other amazing. Yeah. The woman who played Dulcinea Aldonza.
Aldonza, yeah.
Incredible.
Sarah Hayes, an incredible, great performer. I mean, beautiful voice.
Beautiful. And I mean, the entire ensemble is incredibly talented. And the fact that I'm just blown away in that small space. How many people in the ensemble? I
think 9.
At least. Plus, you had the musicians off to the side who do
There's actually 11. I'm
job.
sorry about that. Yes.
11 people. You know, and the audience doesn't have all that much more space. Every time I come in when a new production is being mounted, I say, you really don't want to have an audience, do you?
Yeah.
Because
there's one table. You can sit at this one table.
This stage keeps growing. But the audience is so appreciative.
They are. They are.
Time and time again, I get to see them when they come over here after the play. And to a person, there's always just awe and admiration for the work that your crew does.
I think they're seeing something special. It's the whole Rogers Park Theater community as well, with Boho and with Lifeline. And it's a strong community, and we're doing very, very good productions, reflected in the amount of Jeff Awards that come to all these theater companies up here. I mean, Rogers Park is the place to be, to do this great, cutting edge, and at the same time supported. I mean, people come to see these shows, so it's very, very exciting.
Yeah, and you said cutting edge, at the same time traditional.
Yes.
I mean, traditionally honoring the art, the craft of all parts of producing something.
There are people in the cast that have less experience than I do. I've been doing this for a while, but even in rehearsal, when we were unsure of things, I would look at them and they would be completely and utterly invested in their character, in the story, in everything, and it made it so much easier for me to believe myself, because I had everyone around me believing in me. So it was really marvelous. It was marvelous, and they continue to do that now. That if I look at someone else off stage, they're standing in the doorway. They're completely out of the light, but they're absolutely in the show, watching the show, participating in the show. It's marvelous.
You feel that as soon as you come in, and people begin to get into their characters as dinner's being served, and people are, pretty much into the play around you while the house lights are still up.
And we have art therapy. So I don't know if you noticed the pictures of the pumpkins, but we have art therapy. So before the show, people all get together and we make pictures.
I was wondering about the pictures because I thought they might have more meaning than I was getting.
Not really. No. It's basically art therapy. It kind of gets us together and
gets the crew together.
Yeah, and decorates the place as if it were real. That it's the Halloween season, it's the holidays, or when Thanksgiving's coming up, we'll still be putting turkeys up there. I'm sure.
Yeah, pilgrim hats.
A hand with a turkey.
There you go. Exactly.